let's go back to your story.
Let's do that.
Okay. So you're in New York, you're doing production.
Yes.
Is that where you graduated in?
Yeah, so I had a broadcast communications degree from Ole Miss, University of Mississippi.
Okay. Yeah. Is that where you're from?
I'm from Mississippi. Yes.
Okay.
I love Mississippi. I was raised on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And so I'm a Katrina victim. So, I had to move away. I went to Florida, which is weird that I ended up back here. Moved this other coastal town in, I think it's called Destin, Florida. Have you ever been to Destin?
No, but I know of it.
Okay, so I used to live in Destin for like 2 or 3 years and then went back and finished my high school career in Mississippi and then went straight to, my football career was a little different. So I went on with University of Louisiana Lafayette, played football there, went to a junior college and then kind of like twisted my knee up a good bit and then decided just to finish my degree at Ole Miss and then went straight to New York City.
Okay.
So a lot of hopping around, but before I ended up in New York for like just about 10 years in New York. Yeah.
You don't have a Mississippi accent.
I don't, do I?
No.
Well,
my ex-boyfriend is from Mississippi.
You think all the people from Mississippi talk like this?
Yeah.
They all talk like
I mean, he tried to hide it.
Huge misconception with people from Mississippi. Mississippi.
Really?
Yeah, where I live on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Rarely did I ever meet somebody who was like really country, like talking like Matthew McConaughey. I never met dudes like that. Like,
really?
Sometimes I see Matthew McConaughey, and I don't know if he watches your podcast or not, but I'm like, bro, he's putting that on.
Is he from Mississippi?
I think he's a Texas
He's
guy.
from Texas, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not even gonna imitate his voice, whatever that is. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know Matthew McConaughey, but
we love you, Matthew.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to have an accent. Is that what you're saying? So
I didn't have it growing up, and nor did I. A lot of my friends, like if they were out, like my friends would come visit me in New York, and people would ask them that same question. They'd be like, "Why don't you have the country accent?"
It's the South. We think of it as the South.
I know.
The accent. Well, there was a show too, like from Mississippi, and they all had the accent.
Yeah, that's even funnier to me is that like if you do anything in Mississippi, like you shoot a show in Mississippi, you do anything in Mississippi, they're gonna have every actor be like, put on your country accent, and it's like, come on, dude, like let's chill. Like,
it's not even like that.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Yeah, Mississippi's a great place. I owe everything to Mississippi because my dad is an orthodontist on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And then he was from New Orleans. So he built up in New Orleans. And then when I would go to Mississippi, he built his practice out there. So those are some of like the greatest people in the world, Any other state in America, right? You are stuck somewhere on the side of the road or whatever. Like you might get 400 people driving by. You go to Mississippi, you'd have a line of people trying to help you. It's the truest form of like Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
So Mississippi is like also some of the best food you'll ever have ever.
I haven't been there.
You should go.
Maybe I will.
Go to the coast of Mississippi.
Okay.
Go to the coast. It's a lot of fun. And if you're in a hotel or a casino, you might see Frigo Mints somewhere.
Okay. So you go from Mississippi to New York. Is that what happened?
So I literally went from Mississippi straight to Soho in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a big change for you?
Massive. Yeah. It was a huge like flip. If you know anything about New York, my sister was modeling in New York and she had a spare bedroom. She's like, yeah, you can come check it out. And so I moved to New York City and Soho was like, I'm talking like night and day. Like that's like the fashion mecca of the world, And so you go outside and, any type of model you've ever seen on like a magazine cover is walking down the street, versus Mississippi. I was living, on the coast, which is totally different and, not a building in sight. So, much different.
And then you moved to how long were you in New York for?
I think I finished like 10 years on the dot, like 9.7, something like that, like 10 years, and then moved straight to here in Miami.
What made you move to Miami?
So dropping a business just in general, as you know, it is expensive, but at the same time, like it just made sense because I'd done so much time there, and then, launching it in New York seemed like that was just going to bring like a lot of like my income was just going to get slashed from taxes and whatnot. So we refiled it and did it in Florida. So I think that's good for business. And then just the lifestyle of Miami is a little bit more like outgoing, a little bit more like, health and wellness driven. So I think this is the perfect place for the Frigo Mint. So I'm like fully buying in on Miami.
It's a good place to be. That's for sure.
It is.
And you moved to Coral Gables.
I do. I live in Coral Gables now. Yeah.
Why Coral Gables?
That's the lady who was actually like showing me different spots around Miami, and she was like, I think she played me a little bit, but she was like, oh, I don't think you can. There's this other space up here. I don't know if you can afford this one. I was like, let me see it.
She played on your ego.
Yeah, or so, I don't know. It's something like that. And then I just remember being with like some family, and they were like, yeah, let's see that area. Let's see what that's about. And like, so.
How dare you tell me I can't afford it?
I think she was far, and then went and checked out Coral Gables and found like this like beautiful neighborhood with like just the most, amazing people. Like Coral Gables is also another place where everywhere you go, somebody's like smiling and just saying, hey, what's up? How are you doing? So I don't know too much about Coral Gables, but from what I've seen, I'm like, these are really great people. So
yeah. So you've been in Miami 10 months.
Yeah, like 8-10 months, somewhere around there. Yeah.
8, 10, okay, so you haven't done summer yet, or you have.
I did it a little bit. I got a taste of the heat, and then I was actually eating dinner last night, and the guy was like, hey, just want to give you a heads up that eating outside's not going to be a thing in the next like few weeks. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, it's about to be hot.
New York gets really hot in the summer as well.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how hot it actually gets in New York.
So now you're here. Okay. Tell me a little bit about that. You've worked on this product for 9 years and you finally released it 40 days ago. Yep. Just this year. And then everything's going well.
Nope.
No? Great. Tell me about that.
I mean, I just feel like in general, like I said, I have a mentor who talks to me all the time, and he basically told me, it was like, look, man, like, you can fall in love with these guys who are the success story all you want, but at the end of the day, business is like a slaughterhouse. You fall left and right, and so you're either going to lean into failure and adjust, or you're going to let it break you and you're just going to give up. So 50% of all businesses fail, and I think it's even higher than that. But
it's higher than that.
Yeah, it's got to be higher than that.
Yeah, I think it's around 70.
Yeah.
Small businesses, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I messed up, I'm like, it's gonna be, like I said, it's a lot of just adjusting.
A lot of businesses fail also because the founder is just burnt out. Can't deal with the stress anymore, or the failures or anything like that, and the founder just cannot carry the boat anymore.
Oh, yeah.
We see that. I see that happening a lot. But I wanted to ask you, you've come across this maybe first failures for this one brand particularly.
Yep.
How was it for you? Was it when you first found out about the powder thing, how did you take it? Is the question.
I actually told my dad this the other day. He was asking about that. He was like, yeah, like, what's going on? And I was telling him the whole situation. And like, I think it was like, I worked out like hard for like a solid week. I don't know why. I was just like, man, I was pissed. I was angry, And then I sent like the longest email of my life to the manufacturer. And then I called them like 10 times. And then finally they get on the phone, and then just like, they're like, yeah, man, we got your product and this isn't good. And I was like, well, when life hits you, knocks you down and hits you in different ways. Like I had already read the Amazon comments, and I had gone to South by Southwest. So I was already giving it to people. And so I noticed that some of them were already broken up and some weren't. And then one of my buddies he owns a startup in the tech community, and he like leads these massive parties, and he opened his, and it was like powder. And I was like, that can't be right. And then that's when I realized, like, oh my God, everybody has been getting powder instead of the actual mint. So it was hard. It was hard. But, like I said, like you hit it on the head. You can be one of two ways about this. Like you can go and sit in your room and, I don't know if you can, curse on here, but you can go bitch about it. Or you can adjust and like turn this into a massive positive, which is what we did. Like the first thing I did was I had like an hour of like, okay, I'm going to work out. But then like, let's go through those notes that people destroyed me with. Let's go through the comments that my friends were giving me. Let's go through all the things that weren't really true online about the science behind it. Let's go through all these things with the labeling, and then let's pull them out, and then let's see where there were holes with the Frigo Mint. Because there were other holes outside of the texture. So, you can take it one of two ways in life. Like life's going to knock you down. Okay, cool. But then you look at it another way. It's like, yeah, the Frigo Mint wasn't great. Like there was a lot of issues with it that we get to address now. We get to step back and be like, holy shit, we get a second chance at this. I can reinvent this thing with a 30 box, which can go straight into business now. I can now make it taste better, harder, stronger. I can now add other compounds to it. Like we're thinking about adding hydroxyapatite, which actually rebuilds teeth. So there's like a lot of things we're doing with this now that I might get a whole new patent on it because of the fact that I had to step back from it and then watch it fall so I can just build it back. So like failures, this is not going to be like a one-time thing. I'm going to fail a lot. That's why I get annoyed with the podcasts that are like, oh, I'm such a success. I do this and I do this right. And they're giving other people advice.
That's why I told, that's why when I reached out to you and you said I have this going on, I was like, this is perfect because I'm all about the authentic story and sharing the truth with people. I see it even when you go on LinkedIn, everyone is sharing their wins, which is great to share the wins. It's also awesome. But as you know, a baby comes after 9 months of pregnancy and no one talks about the pregnancy. And I feel like it's not the full picture. It's not that it's the wrong picture, but it's just not the full picture, So let's also talk and normalize failure to encourage more people instead of like corner them into isolation and shame.
Right.
Because there is no shame in failure, even though it's viewed that way. Not a lot of people go out there and say, hey, I failed at this. So I have a lot of respect for you for coming out and actually, doing this, because a lot of people don't share about the tough times, how they felt, the anger, they're all normal emotions that we go through.
Right.
And then eventually you're like, this is not personal. That's how you come out of it, when you realize it's not personal. Like the factory did not try to screw me over personally.
There you go.
When we take it personal is when we get stuck. Why is this happening to me? They don't like me. It reminds us of some childhood story. I'm never going to succeed. It's not good for me, or it's not for me. I don't deserve success. Whatever variation of story that we have in our head that resurfaces in that moment.
Yes.
If we stay stuck in it for so long, we're screwed, right? But if you realize it's not personal, actually, this happened and it happens to everybody. And I have the right to be angry right now and sad. And I have the right to feel like I failed. But it's not personal. So what can I, like you said, turn this around? What can I do to turn this around now? And like, take your time. You said I went to the gym for a week. That's great. Release that anger. Because if you don't release it, you will release it on someone eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
Not suppressing. Suppressing it's not going to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Understanding those stages are crucial and coming back from them, because there will be more of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's failure in business, there's failure in relationships, there's disappointment, anger, all those things are just natural emotions that happen. The more you play, the bigger game you play in life, the more likely you're going to feel this tinge of failure or disappointment. But coming back from it and succeeding after that, there's also a bigger reward.
It's true. Do you feel like when you get angry or something like that, like you like, obviously like you want to blame, like,
of course you want to blame.
Right. So you want to like outward, right?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, like I had this conversation with another guy who was like a mentor, and he was like, dude, the first thing you should do is look for things that you can control, because the minute you let yourself feel like you're out of control, that's when you go spiraling in different directions,
Yeah.
So it was weird just to, feel like, okay, well, what can I control right now? Obviously the email response to address the problems, the Amazon reviews that are like just lethal. Like they're just hitting me left and right. I got some 50-year-old woman who's giving me the works online, but that's fine. That's life, right? But then, I was like, okay, so what do we do now? And I don't know why my mind went straight to like, okay, lift heavy. Like just lift heavy, feel more in your body, then attack like things that are very human that you can address now. Like, hey, this isn't let's get on their side, which is hard.
I think in my experience, what I've seen is if you have a routine that you go back to that reminds you of who you actually really are,
Yeah.
that's how you get back into yourself and away from like that out of control place.
Yeah, save that clip right there. What you just said. Say that again. Actually,
Yeah, because for me,
it's so true.
it's true, right? Like for you, it was the gym.
100%.
For me, you know, one of the things that remind me of who I am again is
Yeah.
my skincare routine.
Okay.
You know, like the minute I'm like looking at myself in the mirror and washing my face and putting on what I usually put on,
Right.
it just brings me back. Working out, going to yoga, it also brings me back. But all these routines that you have for yourself, when you're feeling good and you're feeling yourself, come back to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you did with the gym.
Yeah. This is such a side story. I mean, like in general, like just something I saw like on TikTok, but it was talking about how women have that long list of like self-care or no skincare routine, right? And it's like 11, 15 steps. Man, it's like bar soap. And then like I don't know why that just came to mind was like there's because what you just said, I didn't think of it that way either, but like it's always good to talk to another woman about like her, you know, the way she goes about her own process with, you know, with the way our mint fits into her life, but then also like your routine is like, okay, I need to ground myself in the skincare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I didn't know that. I didn't know that women see skincare as like, you know, a grounding thing, you know, like something that they can control and it kind of centers them as a routine. But yeah, that makes sense.
If you've been feeling stuck mentally, emotionally, energetically, I created something just for you. Get Unstuck is a gentle guided workbook to help you come back to yourself. In just 10 steps, you'll clear your mind, soften into truth, and choose a new way forward. It's simple, powerful, and made with so much love. If this speaks to you, you'll find the link in the show notes. I think one of the things that happens when you're spiraling is you stop taking care of yourself.
True. Yeah.
Right. Or not the same way.
True.
A lot of people who, you know, might feel low energy or might feel depressed, they're going to lay in bed, right? They're not going to do much. They're going to try and escape somehow. But the minute you get back into your life, into doing things for yourself that bring you into this physical world, which can be whatever it is for you, your energy starts coming back. So you start taking care of yourself. Yeah, when you start taking care of yourself, you come back, I think.
I like that.
I started this thing called the Founder's Circle. And it's basically, I started it because I wanted everyone to understand, the ones I was coaching to understand, you're all in the same boat. So one, let's all come here and talk about what we're going through.
Yes.
The wins, obviously, but also the challenges. So maybe we can all help each other.
Right.
You know, like you're founding a logistic company and maybe there's someone in France who's creating something and you can help each other out somehow.
Right.
Or you can talk to each other about how you're raised or introduce each other to different people. I think collaboration is a whole different game, you know?
Yeah.
I think competition is okay, but it can only take you so far.
True.
That mindset of competition cannot take you a lot further than what you need to, in my opinion.
I also listen to the there's these other guys who do like an e-com. I think they're called Obvi. They own Obvi, which is like a collagen brand. It does little supplements too. Like we're a supplement technically, but they have a round table of founders and they introduce new founders and all the problems they're going through with like, you know, e-commerce, and because we technically are an e-commerce brand initially, you know, selling that way, but their stuff is really great and they're having a founders thing tonight, and I'm like, I like those type of events. I think that's great you're doing that, because, you know, it's good to be around other founders who you can see it on their face too, the ones who are really like working through it. They don't have a lot of time and they're, you know, really like going back and forth with different failures, and they'll tell you, they're like, oh, I dealt with that, do X, Y, and Z. You know, another guy's, oh, I did that, do this, you know. So
it's helpful.
It's very helpful. It is, yeah. So that's why I'm going to their event tonight, and like, yeah, it's always good to see somebody who's like in kind of the grit with it, you know, and actually talking about it. Like, okay, they're doing it, so I should be able to just handle this the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there is, regardless of what you think, there's going to be a silver lining sooner or later. I mean, you could say whatever you want about the Frigo Mint. You can say it's like a scam, whatever else. But at the end of the day, that product is backed by doctors and it's there to help people. Like
Right.
there's no fluff. I mean, if you took the Frigo Mint, put it in a machine and said, hey, what are the compounds? It's just going to be a supplement that has only compounds that benefit your body. That's it.
Let me ask you about the powder. Couldn't you just kind of like chew on the powder? Or
You can, yeah. Actually, it's funny that you asked that because I have the powder one too.
can we see it?
That's it. As you can hear, that's the difference.
Right. But
That's the
why
one.
couldn't it's the same components?
The funny thing is people were. That's how we got positive Amazon reviews. There was actually like a couple positive ones where people were like, hey man, your product fell apart, but damn, that thing tastes good. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, thank you. And then obviously the other ones are like, hey, this is a great product, but you really need to work on the consistency. So they didn't get the right product. That's what I'm saying. You actually got to try an original Frigo Mint, which now officially there's only, I'm done giving them out. I mean, I know that sounds weird.
I'm curious if this never came out as an actual solid product and it just came out as a powder, people would have never compared, right? So you wouldn't even be you
I'd
could
just
have
be known as
spinned
a
it. You could
powder
have
guy.
spinned it into like, well, this is the new thing now,
Yeah.
and let it be that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just do that?
Well, it does say mint on the package, so I feel like
It says what?
it says mint on there, so I feel like that'd be pretty bad. But you know who does that actually? And I was the person doing it. Do you know the brand Emergency?
Yeah.
I like this brand because you know you can put it in water or whatever else, but I have seen numerous occasions where like guys that I know will just shoot it and then they'll go to the airport with it, you know. And you want to boost your immune system when you're in airports because technically that's where everyone's like kind of breathing the same air and you can get sick faster. So like Emergency did a good job of like coming into that niche and you just grab them so quickly. You're like, hey, look, there it is right there. I'm going to grab it and go. So like, yeah, here I am like shouting out Emergency because I actually use it. I do. And it's easy. It's quick to use. And that's the way I want people to feel about Frigo Mints. I want them to be in businesses, dental offices, ortho offices, all over the places where like people are just high traffic and you just, okay, I know what a Frigo Mint is. And so I'm going to grab it. It's not even $1 and then I'm going to be on my way. That's the way I want people to feel about this brand.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of battles, but like that's where the end game is for the Frigo Mint. It's going to be, you know, hotels and trains, airplanes, JetBlue, now I'm naming them all. But like, yeah, those are the type of people I want to work with and have great connections with because that's where I want to see my product. You know, and you got to speak it too. Hey, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. You got to speak it and manifest it.
Yeah.
How did you raise the money for this?
So family was a big thing of it. And so, like I said,
Are you planning on raising?
not right now. I'd rather own my entire brand.
Okay.
I think people who South by Southwest was big on this actually. There's a whole round table about this one topic, which
Really?
was founders who are inviting in money and then they're like, they regret it immediately. Because
Why?
money's tied. You just got to think
Of
about
course.
that. So there's a lot of people you're answering to when you invite money in, you know. So you know, for all new founders out there who are wanting to bootstrap is kind of like the way to go. So luckily, like I said, our product was not exponentially crazy to fund. And then, you know, the next round or down the road will be though. And that's where you're going to have to partner with somebody or something like that or manage equity in that regard.
It's interesting how because by definition, what is a startup, right? A lot of people define a startup.
This is the $1 million question in New York right now.
Is it?
Yeah, you got a lot of guys saying they're founders, they own a startup, and they're telling girls on dates that they're doing this and that. And this is a hot topic in New York right now. You got girls who literally will say like, hey man, stop calling yourself a founder. I stripped founder off all my thing. I just think it's a terrible thing to call yourself now. I'm like, I'm a business owner. That's it. Like, I think founder and, you know, I want to go talk to founders, but I'm done calling myself a founder. I think it's like this really weird thing now that's developed into a very toxic, because you got dudes who will make newsletters and call themselves founders. You're like, okay, hold on now. Hold on, Frank. I don't think that's what a founder is, but you know, or like, you know, they'll do this little like social media account and they're like, I'm a founder of this account. You're like, oh, okay, all right, you're an influencer, okay, but let's not get all these words like jumbled, because there needs to be an actual term for like a startup. what is a founder? What is somebody who is just a business owner? Like
Well, what's the difference? What is the difference between a startup and a company or a small
lot,
business
a lot of
or
gray space.
a lot? We don't know.
I want somebody to come out and be like, hey man, you put this on your profile and your company is not like an actual startup. It's just you started a business. Like I think the Frigo Mint company is just that. It's a company.
Just business.
It's a business.
I think startups, the ones that call themselves startups, are the ones that are raising money. They're tied up to VCs.
That's a good one, yeah.
And I think that makes sense because you're raising money for the purpose of expanding at a rapid rate.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? Then if you've raised money and you are expanding at a rapid rate, then I think that makes more sense to be called a startup, or we can give it that definition.
Yeah.
But obviously it's subjective. You can define whatever you want, however you want. Because there's also small business where you're expanding at a different rate when you don't have that sort of money, right? So if you're raising like $5 million and you can spend on creating a big team and marketing and advertising and distribution channels and whatnot, then you're definitely going to expand faster. But if you're a small business and it's, maybe a couple of people working on it and you're expanding slower, taking it step by step, then that's just a small business. I don't mean just as like a negative word, but that's just not a startup.
Yeah, I like being around people who have startups because they're very bright people, and the founders, oh, I'm a founder. You're like, all right, cool. But like, it's more of like just their ideas that I can use and implement on my own. Like that's why I go to South by Southwest, because every single time I go there, it's just this huge hub of people who are trying to get stuff off the ground. And so you can kind of sit there in the trenches with other guys who are like, yeah, I'm running into this problem. And you're like, okay, cool, I am too. And they're like, well, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh, I'm thinking about doing A, B, and C. And then you can just mesh. But yeah, you just hit it on the head though. Like I do agree that you got to have like that little bit of that pop value to be kind of like a startup. If you just have a business idea and then you want somebody to invest in it, you're just, you're an entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it starts with knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you know who you are, then you can know where to go.
Right.
It's like a GPS, right? You can't tell it where to go if you don't tell it first where you are standing.
Yeah. That actually reminds me, I got to strip that off my LinkedIn, like literally today.
Which one?
The founder name. I think it's on. I don't know. I hope it's not. I mean, that's.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
I don't know. I just want to strip it now. I'm at that point where I've had this conversation so many times, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel good about this anymore.
Yeah, if it doesn't feel good for you, then
Nah, I'd rather just say, like it's a business.
If you're not trying to raise, then
business.
It's whatever speaks to you at the end of the day. Nobody can tell you who you are but yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you just now in Austin?
Oh, South by Southwest.
So what else was happening there? I missed it. So tell me, what did I miss?
So South by Southwest is, like I said, it's just people who come in from all over and just share ideas on like new tech. But then also you have a lot of like, new platforms for e-commerce and new different tools to use, and like for instance, when I was there, I had no idea this one app had existed, which was Social Snowball. And I had met them in New York a little bit, like their CEO and whatnot, but then I had seen some of their people over in South by Southwest, or other people who were using them. And so what it is, and I didn't know this existed, but you take your company and let's say you're producing a product like the Frigo Mint, and what happens is they give you ambassadors who you don't have to work with initially. So they can vet your product and say, okay, I can sell that. Mm-hmm. So then they get a code and then they put it on their account. And then you don't really have to go pitch your product to influencers. They're just going to use their code to sell it, and then they don't talk to you at all. And if they think your product works well, they can just market it on their own. And so it gives you your own ambassador kind of program, if you will. So you'll make like a breakdown, and then you do that. So for me, that's like spot on for what we need to get the Frigo Mint out there, is that I can't, building relationships with the influencers is actually really tough. I don't know if you've done that with like product and things like it's not easy, and a lot of them will either bail on you or just like I don't feel like posting. So
I get a lot of emails around like, do you want to be ambassador for my product?
Right.
I'm very picky about it.
it's tough. It is. Yeah, like if y'all ever need and that's another reason I wanted to be on your show is because I don't know the Miami area and there's a couple things I'm looking for. So I was wanting either some sort of Pilates class or somebody who's running like a fitness community, and I wanted to sponsor one of their events. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to do outreach with you specifically, because you know Miami, you're tied in with the Miami communities. And then I also wanted to know if you knew anybody who, had event spaces that they use for community events, like bi-weekly or something like that.
I know tons of those. So yeah, definitely hook you up.
See, I'm with the right person.
Yeah.
So like, these are the things that, I like to work with people on, like, and because when you go to the South by Southwest, that's the big thing is that, like, if you have a brand, what's a major key that I'm trying to do, this isn't me giving advice to anybody, it's just saying that this is what I'm trying to do today, is I'm trying to create a community around the Frigo Mint so that, you feel like when you have a Frigo Mint that you belong to our company, like you align with our core values, you align with our goals, you want to be, when you see the Frigo Mint, you're like, okay, like it's on the go. It's with fitness influencers. It's with brands that are around that. People who are in airports, who are traveling, living their best life. People that are happy. That's what I want to be a part of. Because like at the end of the day, your brand, in a way, what I've learned, has like an aura to it. And it's your job to create that. And I heard this great podcast one time where this guy was like, you've succeeded as a brand when like you can ask somebody like, hey, can you design a Nike hotel? Like if there was a Nike hotel, would you be able to design in your head? And you're like, I kind of know what that would look like. I got an idea of like what that would actually look like. And then like a Coca-Cola hotel, you're like, yeah, I could see what that would look like. Yeah. So like your brand has to have that kind of like identity to where like you're building it out in the way that it's got its own vibe, its own aura, so that when people see it, they're like, I like what they stand for.
Right.
I want to align with that. So I'm going to grab it, because it's just more than a purchase, So that's what we want to do.
Connection. It's a connection. Yeah.
So that's what we want to do with community events. We want them to be bi-weekly or weekly, and we want to be able to talk with people about our product. So that's a goal of mine, is to like stop being lazy around community events.
You gotta get the product first.
Yeah,
right?
True. Yeah, true.
So we gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get out there.
Exactly. But right when it hits off, like, and like I said, like the process is gonna be like, I think it's like 10 weeks on the dot. And then once it happens, like, yeah, we want to do like events each and every week in Miami. And just say, okay, this is our community. This is what we do. We'll have people come in and speak and whatnot, and, wellness and what have you, So.
Yeah, that would be easy to do.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I gotta stay in touch with you then.
Yeah, definitely. That would be easy to do.
Yeah, if you're seeing it in your head already, then I'm like, man, like show me the way.
Yeah, that would happen quite easily.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Anything else you want to add, Chris?
One last thing. If you're a kid too, this is really weird. By 9 years old, half of all children by the time they're 9 have a cavity as well. These are safe for children. So if you're a mom, right, and you're dealing with cavities. Cavities are expensive, they're painful, and they're coming whether you like it or not. This is a great way for your kids that you can put in their lunch pails, what have you, to battle cavities. So when 2.0 comes out, we really want to work with a lot of moms as well in the community of Miami who may want to, give these to their children. So keep that in mind.
Actually, I just thought, because you said battle cavities, why didn't you put that on your package?
We're doing a few things with the lines.
Okay.
So they might say that. I think I like the fact that it dental care anywhere, but I think we're going to come up with like a few other things to put on there that are, more grabbing for like, what it is, like a sign of strength or I don't know, something.
I would. There are definitely some wording I would add on here.
I'm up for any type of opinions. If you're like, hey, look, I don't like this about it, I think you should do this. Right now is the time for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you some more feedback on that.
Cool.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. So you gotta wait about 10 weeks.
I think it's like 10, 15. So production's like 3 weeks, and then it goes into they'll start manufacturing it. So
and it will be where could they find it when it comes out?
So you should really go to our Instagram, our TikTok, our YouTube pages, and then with frigomint.com, obviously, and then you can follow us because we post every day. We don't miss. We post every day.
If you want to work with Frigo Mint and if you're an influencer, also reach out.
Please do. Yes.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Oh, please, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. That would help me out tremendously. And I'll see you next time. Let's take a moment to reflect on the power of purpose. Sefamar, a leader in assembling vehicles in Morocco, builds more than machines. They create the essential vehicles that move us forward, connecting people, building cities, and enabling progress. Just as their trucks and buses carry people and materials, bringing to life a vision of growth and development, we too are vehicles, carriers of ideas, dreams, and deeper truths. At the Sarra Show, we embrace what it means to be human and to serve a purpose beyond ourselves. When we surrender to that purpose, we unlock our true potential. Sefamar's vehicles connect communities. We, in turn, connect hearts and minds. Thank you for joining us in this shared journey of creation and connection. Together, we are all vehicles for something greater.